thanks for taking the time out. I'm Rohan. I'm from the Sun Times.
Hello.
Been an admirer of all your work. So
At last.
He's only looking down there. He's not looking here.
all your work.
Oh, thank you.
All your work.
चीन के लेना पड़ता है.
So I was saying, horror means different things to different people, and for some people it's a jump scare type of horror. For others, it's more psychological. I've unfortunately not seen the film. I've seen 4 clips of your film. I don't know much about the plot, but I get a sense of the tone. It doesn't seem to be the jump scare brand of horror. What does horror mean to you?
For me, I won't say what I've done is a horror film. It's a kind of a very psychologically creepy film that kind of creeps up on you. For me, what horror means to me is what's happening.
Yeah, one thing is what I like horror in terms of cinematically, what I like in horror, and it's always been films that are rooted in reality and with people that it's real, but there's always some kind of unnatural and supernatural and an unknown world that comes in. But in terms of what horror means to me, what is horrific to me is loss of rights. You know, that is horrific to me. To not have rights, for individuals to not have rights. You know.
I read someplace, it goes like, it's much darker when the light has been taken away than when it had never shone. So I think fear of loss, to have everything you ever wanted and then to lose it all, that's the closest thing to horror. And I mean, I've not had a first-hand experience of like miscarriages of pregnancy, but I don't know, I feel like I understand loss in some ways and I improve from that.
For me, in the context of this film, horror to me is the unthinkable actually not only being thinkable, but actually visible and happening in front of your eyes. I mean, for example, let's say we all know that human beings are the top of the food chain. We eat everything. And on any given day, you see that van full of chicken, poultry, going to the butchery. And you know that they also know, though they have got sort of, very basic brains, they also know that they are being led to slaughter. But that's top of the food chain and they'll become our, turkey roast or chicken sandwich in the evening, so that's fine. But imagine if you're not at the top of the food chain. And imagine then what happens. And imagine becomes real. So for me, the unthinkable becoming really real. Like imagine if someone just breaks into this room and asks you to shut down your camera. And there is no one who can do anything about it. That's a kind of a horror. Imagine me saying that, listen, I really like the way you look and I really like to roast you and eat you. And actually go ahead and do that. So that's horror. The unthinkable happened.
There was a lot of humor as well. And it looked very grand, especially the opening. It was a 4-minute clip, so it's out of context, obviously. But what do you think about the visual aspect of horror? How do you evoke fear through visuals?
I don't know. Because I actually have no clue about the genre at all, to be honest. Like, we did an interview and they all spoke about films that have influenced them in the space. But I have not seen any of those films. Except Madhumati. So I have seen one film she mentioned, Madhumati and Sixth Sense, which are psychological in that they're not really jump scare horrors or horror by ghost or horror by freakiness or spookiness. So I have never seen any film in that space. So the fact that I had to direct a film in that space, I had to choose a story and narrative that I could veer into some kind of zone that would comfortably fall into my syntax as a filmmaker. I was really, to be honest, Rohan, I was really struggling, in reaching the story and then directing it. Like, I have no clue. So I still don't know whether what I've done is palatable for the genre and accessible and acceptable. I think that I've done my best, but I really have no clue because the genre really kind of evades me. Like, I don't watch it. I'm scared. I'm not scared of ghosts in the real world, but I'm scared watching them for some reason. Like, I've walked I've stayed in hotel rooms on my own, gone into so-called haunted mansions and not been afraid. But you show me a scary film, like I started watching A Quiet Place and I was petrified halfway through it. I had to put it off. I couldn't watch it. Because I watched it because everyone said Quiet Place is like the benchmark for the new age horror space. And I was like, I couldn't sit through it because I got so petrified. So now me directing one, like I was getting scared behind the monitor while I was doing a Steadicam shot that was meant to intrigue. I was only afraid. And I feel I will be the only person afraid watching my own film also. So I am not person that who can actually ask like what is this, what motivated me, because nothing motivated me. Nothing inspired me. I just done what I had to do.
Except the fact that the other three were doing and you had to.
So when we were doing the Steadicam shot in the Goa house, like I was like this watching. They were like, but you know what's going to happen. Why are you very? I said, I don't know. I'm just afraid. I'm very afraid of those jump scares. I don't like being caught unaware in any which way in life or on cellular. Horror for me that like you have to ask them. They're actors who actually done. They've actually depicted the moments that, so you have to ask them what it feels like. Because if I don't think I'd be able to act, not that I can, somebody killed my acting career anyway. But I'm like, I don't think I would be able to act in horror.
How do you take direction from him if he is so terrified on set? Do you think he's being objective on set?
In his portions, I was not so terrified. It was more in the Mrunal portions.
Yeah. No, I remember this. I remember coming to him and saying, so what is happening and why is happening? I said, let's explore. And he says, I don't know it. Let's figure it out. And we're there and we are doing it. You know, it's so I don't think the parts that I've been, the scenes that I'm part of in film are in general horror the way we see it. There was a joke on shoot where we would say, let's call it a spooky, where it has its spooky elements and it, like you mentioned, it has a certain amount of comedy element that you saw, which I did too. I don't know if others would.
Were you on Devaiah?
Yes, Devaiah? We have not done any such thing.
Like because you said you didn't know. So
Devaiah is a very big word to use.
अरे try करके देखते हैं.
ट्राई भी नहीं, जो हमें 6 दिन थे यार, शॉर्ट फिल्म है, बजट भी उतना ही है, क्या ट्राई करेंगे? 6 दिन you have to pack the day.
No, so like you said, 6 दिन ही थे, and I read a recent interview of yours where you said, okay, this is short. So it's not like doing a series where you have more time with the character. So what do you do to kind of add something to, because you are solitary a lot in the clip that I saw. You don't have much to play off of. So how do you like define that character?
I mean, but what was written was so specific and I think so beautifully written that it gave me a lot of clarity and vision as it is. And what Zoya does is she gives her actors a backstory, a very detailed backstory about, you know, where they come from. And I think like Karan said, she pays a lot of attention to detail. And I think that makes the actors' life so much easier. And the conviction that she brings on set, and also the kind of actors I was working with, the entire team, they were so specific and so passionate, and it just felt like a dream, honestly. There wasn't much effort, I think, I don't know, it didn't seem like much.
But I think Sobhita and Janhvi's case in both the films, and we've seen the films, they both had a lot of solitary moments in the film, which is just playing off their body language and their immediate environment. And I think for an actor, it's always very tough when you don't have either a prop or co-actors or just an environment that is crowded for you to kind of play off. Both of them specifically in the film were very alone. So I think you should speak to Sobhita and Janhvi about that, because that was also exciting for me to watch.
There's actually one thing that I learned from Zoya a lot. That was one thing that I took away from the entire experience, was how much importance she gave to like the choreography in a scene and movement. And it's something that I hadn't explored much in the other films that I had done. But this required it a lot, and I think she taught me how to do it in a way that seemed natural and fluid. And I really think it makes a difference to like have a fluid sort of natural choreography to a scene. It adds pace and it's fun.
You haven't seen any clip of mine anyways, because they didn't show you, because they can't show you. So I'm going to speak anyways.
When you see the film, you know why.
It was very technical for me. The whole point. I do generally believe that acting, as I gain more experience as an actor, I'm kind of enjoying the technical aspects of acting. But this was purely very technical. What I had to do was very physically and mentally challenging, and it really pushed me, and it was very uncomfortable, but at the same time very technical. So it can be extremely stifling sometimes. Like I've worked with Anurag. He's not a very technical director. He gives you the freedom and the trust to do something. But this project, I think we had to be very specific. He needed certain things a certain way. So I had to be absolutely ready and make
Which we
myself
can't
available.
reveal.
Yeah.
Which we can't
So
reveal.
it wasn't really emotional. Like with them, I think it was very emotional for them.
Yeah.
The performance, it wasn't emotional at all for me. It was very physical and very technical.
What is the relevance of horror when your potential viewer can simply turn on their phone or walk out of their house and experience like real life horror?
Yeah. Great question.
What do you do? How do you scare that person when he's already shit scared to get out of his house?
I'm sorry, because in the great real life horror, so he'll die, no? In this one, what happens is that
It's happening to other people.
it's happening to other people, so he gets the joy of being scared and also
And
the
he's
security.
saved by the end of it.
And he's going to survive it.
He's going to survive. That's why we listen to stories. We listen to stories to live through emotions, which if we really lived through would destroy us. And also, the reason why horror stories are alive in our society is because fear is essentially a survival device. We need fear to survive. If we were not afraid, we would go out and die. The only reason why we are alive is today is because we are afraid. So, I mean,
It's actually true.
I wish I had more time with you guys. This is not enough. Truly admire all your work.
Thank you.
thank you so much.